Hey guys, Max92 and welcome back to another tryout. Today's tryout is on Kingdoms of Amalur Re-Reckoning. I played the PS4 version via backwards compatibility on PS5, or whatever that's called, and I had never played the original game back in the day. I think I remember reading about it in the official Xbox magazine. I had it for like a year back many years ago. I've also heard about it here and there on YouTube from people that I watch, basically being like, I really like this game for the most part. The situation with this game is really interesting. I'm gonna give you the short version. So even the short version ended up far too long, so let's just say it involves ex-baseball player Curt Schilling, famed fantasy writer R.A. Salvatore, and famed comics artist Todd McFarlane. And we'll leave it at that. Go to watch either this video that I'll have in the card, or go look at the Wikipedia page. Those will get you the story one way or the other. As for the game itself, the combat feels pretty decent. It's what you would expect from an RPG, especially of the time period. You've got some interesting wrinkles on top of those things. It has this sort of blend of your like hack and slash character action concepts with the stuff you'd typically expect from a Western RPG. I think by just looking at it, you can really tell that this was a game from like 2012. It looks like a game from like 2012 still. It doesn't look terrible because the stylization has allowed you to age better than some other things would, but it's like from just texture, colors, just what things looked like in that time period, it really still has that visual style. But I think despite that, it has generally aged overall pretty well. At least this remaster has brought it into the modern day pretty decently. Initially, as I was playing, I was going to write a complaint about the camera being too close to your character, but there's actually some really good options in the settings for changing camera positions and FOV and camera distance from the player and all that stuff. So like, it's not as big of an issue, and there's also options for UI on screen. But as always, there could be more options for these sorts of things. I would like even more precise control over UI size, because it seems like the difference between normal and small is a large one. And also I ran into an issue with what seemed to be look acceleration or something, and I couldn't figure out if there was a setting that would make that fix that from what I was experiencing, and I'm not entirely sure what the issue was itself. So just something I noticed where like the camera just would go a little more than I expected to. The original game had 2 DLC expansions, and those are included in this package as far as I understand. But for some reason, there's a $20 expansion for Re-Reckoning, which something about that kind of rubs me the wrong way a little bit. I imagine that it's probably really cool for people who are fans of the game back in the day. That was over 10 years ago at this point. But like, for me as a modern consumer, it always sort of hurts when you get a game, even if I got this through PlayStation Plus. It always kind of hurts when you get a game and it's like, all right, I got a game, and then there's like a very expensive DLC on top of it. That's like a third of the price of the thing. I've had that experience with a handful of games, and it's like, it's not the worst thing, but it's something that stood out to me as I was going through my experience with the game. My final note here is that the audio mixing is weird. I don't know enough to really say for certain what the issue is, but it seems like how sounds are placed in the 3D space of the game is, I don't want to say incorrect, but weird. And so those sounds seem like they tend to attach to the player. So like, there was a situation where there was a woman talking in a town, and I walked away from her, and as in most games now, you would expect that audio to slowly go away, basically. As you walked away, they would lessen in volume until you couldn't hear them anymore. But in this case, that audio just sort of hung around with me until she said her next line, and I was out of earshot, so I couldn't hear it.
Mission hiding. Why are its gates forever closed? These are the questions we all should be asking. The Fae are not our enemy. Only those who seek to poison us should be reviled. That includes the brothers of St. Odwig's.
And so it's just like, there's a handful of that in the audio mixing that I noticed that was probably not as good as it could be, especially for a remaster remake thing. But overall, this game is pretty interesting, and I probably recommend it. I have a tendency to fall off RPGs for one reason or another, and I'll probably get back to it at some point and play more of it, but there's a variety of games that I am in the process of playing, as I always say. This one I'll hopefully come back to at some point to check out a bit more of it, delve a bit further in, because I played probably an hour and a half or so. I got through the prologue tutorial stuff out into the world, and then I did some side stuff here and there to sort of get off of the main quest track and see what the other stuff was. I did like a side dungeon thing, and then I talked to some people in the town. I did some fetch quests for people in the town, and that's where I pretty much stopped, as I was in the first town. So didn't get very far, but I feel like I got the gist of it enough to talk about it. But based on that, I think that it's interesting, especially with all of the names that was attached to this project back in the day. I think that people should check it out. I think I'm going to try and play more of it. So the Game Pass's tryout, I guess. That's what I have written down. That's really what I got to say about the game. I rambled a bit there at the end, so let's move on. If you go down in the description, you find a beacons.ai link. It'll take you to all sorts of places, like my Twitter, Patreon, Bandcamp, Redbubble, etc. Click that link, go to those places, do what you do there. Like the video if you liked, dislike if you didn't. Subscribe if you want to keep up with this and other shows. I do a variety of stuff on the channel, and I'm trying to do more and more every so often, branch out into new things, because this is not specifically a gaming channel. It's a whatever I want to make channel. Anyway, what's the next thing you do? Leave a comment. Have you played this game? Have you played the original game? What do you think about this compared to the original if you've played both? Leave a comment, share the video, do the things. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!